Germination process in corn is extremely important. You want all of your seeds to come up within about 24 to 48 hours of each other. Outside of that window, those plants are often deemed a weed because they tend to take nutrients and water from that corn crop that's around it. So we want all of those plants to come up within about 24 to 48 hours. My name's Tyler Steinkamp. I'm the regional agronomist for Eastern Iowa for WinField United. And today, guys, I want to focus in on the germination process of corn. So when we look at the germination process, it's quite complex. But the first thing that happens when you put that seed in the soil is it takes in water. Makes sense, right? We got to get to about 35% water content. And then what's going to happen is that seed's going to start to produce gibberellic acid. Now, gibberellic acid is what starts the conversion of starches to sugars. Okay? With that, it starts that whole germination process. So one of the ways we can get more consistent germination is by including gibberellic acid directly on the seed. Okay, now, gibberellic acid is a growth hormone which starts that whole process. So if we produce it right on the seed and we put it on the seed itself, what will happen is we'll often get a lot better, more even germination. Okay, on the right here, we have a product called Ascend Pro, has gibberellic acid in the product. Then on the left here, we have our untreated check, which was just treated with water. What you'll notice is on the right here, all of three of these plants came up within 24 hours of each other. Whereas on the left, that untreated check, you'll see that that last seed that just came through the ground there is at least 24 hours, and actually in this case it was about 3 days behind. That plant right there is no longer going to be very effective at getting you decent yields, and in fact it's going to suck from these other two plants. Okay? Now the next process in germination, we have to have enough phosphorus for that plant to actually start to utilize the sugars that are being converted. Okay, so with phosphorus, you can see some of the yield responses we get from putting starter fertilizer, because often what happens when we get cool, wet soils, we don't get enough phosphorus available to that plant. So by supplying phosphorus directly on that seed, you can see the effect that that has with starter fertilizer. The next thing that has to happen is we have to have enough zinc to actually produce the amino acids that are necessary in converting starches to sugars. And that zinc really jump starts that process. It also is really important in the growth and development of that plant. And that is the reason why all of the cropland seed, for example, is treated on the seed with zinc. Here's some yield results that we've had out of our Fortivent zinc. That's the seed treatment directly on that cropland hybrid. It was 4.7 bushel yield increase to doing that. Now, you don't necessarily have to put it on the seed. It is an advantage having that directly on the seed with cropland, but you can also put it directly in furrow, such as with a chelated zinc, like a 9% ultra key type formulation. That really helps get that plant off to a good start. The final thing we need to have is cytokinins. Cytokinins are what starts that radicle actually growing and that coleoptile coming out of that seed. And so by getting that those cytokinins directly on the seed, for example with Ascend Pro as well, we can start that germination process off really, really well. Okay. Auxins are also really important. That's why we included them in the Ascend Pro formulation. But all of those work together to get a more even stand. And all four of these steps that we have here, if we can maximize those, we can get nice even stands and set myself up for a really good year.